Well, in 1978, we had a lot of work to do when the lads were going out to UNIFIL. The first troops went out in May of 78, and as workshops and stores in Clancy, we had to procure a lot of stuff that they brought out with them. The spray painters had a great time painting things white to go out, and so we oversaw a lot of stuff going out.
I lived in at that stage, and I was living in Griffith, and looking out the back window and coming up along the canal was the convoy of white vehicles. It was amazing coming up along the canal. The convoy of white vehicles heading for Carlbrua barracks, and from Carlbrua they were then going to head for Dublin Airport to be put on the loadmasters for Lebanon.
There was 4 vehicles on my flight, and the rest were all baggage and cargo and pallets of stores and all that. So we landed in Tel Aviv into a transit camp which was absolutely desperate. It was I think it was in an olive grove, and the ground was just stones and horrible. But I was only there for one night, so I slept in the Land Rover rather than sleep on the ground. And the following day, there was a convoy up to South Lebanon. I hadn't a clue where I was going. All I saw was a sign for Bethlehem, and I knew that was somewhere famous, and another road sign for Jerusalem, and that was somewhere famous. That's how innocent we were.
Yeah. We knew why we were there. We had been told the mission was to confirm the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Lebanon, who had invaded Lebanon in March 1978. So we had just arrived a few months after the invasion, and as far as we were concerned, our job was to observe the withdrawal of Israeli forces from South Lebanon, to assist the Lebanese government in regaining control of the country, and to provide whatever humanitarian assistance we could. So that we were well versed on the mission. Other than that, politically wise, we wouldn't have known the main players outside that scenario.
We were happy seeing new faces. We don't speak the language. They don't even speak the language. Using signals, signs, here, there, colors. And after we found out that my mother started to cook, she said, I have to feed those people. They're so young, they're so hungry. And really, my mother and my sister started to cook and to help them, because they were, trying to get used to the area, get used to the situation.
The Irish used to provide social patrols to those farmers to go and pick the crops from the land at times of conflict or dangers. The APC and Panhard, I remember, not like now, the CISO and other heavy vehicles. They used to drive with the donkeys, because not like now we have cars. The people used to go to their land on the donkeys and the mules, and the APC in front. And this time, for example, we go to Caltex, that's near Tibnin Hospital land. And then the next day go to Total area land. The other day, the third day go to Tibnin Castle land or to Sultaniya land. So every day the Mukhtar and the responsible officer from the Irish battalion used to organize with the farmers to go to some direction, and the APC and Panhard with some troops, they go there, provide protection in case of bombardment or emergency. In times of olive scrap and try to pick olives, that you need a lot of people. Sometimes some of the commanding officers of the battalion used to provide even human resource, provide maybe 40-50 soldiers to go to this olive trees and helping the people of picking, try to minimize the time for the harvest, and they used to go back.
The shouting went on then for, I suppose, 10 minutes, maybe 15, I can't remember. But it wasn't too far away from us, and I had a cine camera with me, and I took my cine camera when the groundhog was called off, and that I went up, took my cine camera, started viewing the crater, and then up to the house, and the ordnance officer was a fellow called John McSweeney, captain, and John had been, it was during siesta time, and John had been resting on his bed when the first shell struck the garden, maybe about 50 metres below.
Yeah.
the room he was in, you know. And at that, of course, he grabbed the flak jacket, the helmet, and was getting out of the room to go down the stairs and into the basement. That was their bunker. And the second shell came along. He was visiting the room at the time through the door, and he was kind of blown down the steps just by the blast, but nothing hit him or anything like that. And he got down into the bunker. And by the time shelling was over and I went up with the film, he was just emerging from the bunker, you know, and everybody was looking. So I have some shots on that film of the damage, and I gave the whole set of film into military archives, so they have that in there, you know, on record.
The whole business about returning fire moved into view then, in that the DFF then down at the checkpoint area tried to take over the area. It was a contested spot. Right. They held part of it. We held another part of it. We had the road closed at this stage. They had brought up this old Sherman tank. It was there sitting across the checkpoint, and we had an ML90 down there, Tony Bracken's ML90. So they attempted to take the rest of that position, and that's when Stephen Griffin was fatally wounded. Because they rushed our position, they fired at us, and we didn't fire back.
And there is one noise which I hate. It's this noise when they throw the what do you call it? Not the bullet, the big thing.
Missile.
The missile. You hear boom, and then.
Oh yeah.
And here we used to close our ears because we thought that it's coming and it's going to hit us. But I remember in 1996 and 2006, my uncle told us that when you hear this noise, it's already gone. You are only hearing the noise.
There's a cultural difference between Estonians and Irish. We all know and understand that. There is no question about it. Irish tend to be more extroverts, so who speak out, and they can make loud noises, laugh, make jokes. And Estonians are, and also the Finnish are quite similar to each other. They are more quiet, introverts. They don't seek always to have a chat and have a laugh. I appreciate that Irish are really open-minded. They love to have a laugh, and Estonians have a good sense of humor, and this is what connects them. So I'm sure many of the other Estonians have also found some friends among the Irish, and in that sense we are doing great. So.
The leadership I've learned over the years through our own system and through being responsible for essentially people's lives at times abroad, which is a huge burden to bear and has to be taken extremely seriously, and that is something that would occupy my attentions very, very closely here, because I also have, as DO, I'm responsible for the safety and security of all personnel in South Lebanon. So this mission is 10,500 strong. It's got a naval element, it's got the land component, it's got an air element. And it is working well. It is regarded as, and I'm not blowing my trumpet now, it's the work of a lot of people before me, but UNIFIL is regarded as probably the most successful peacekeeping mission in the world, bar none, and develops best practice and we're very proud of that. We work to develop best practice, we don't rest. We look at everything, we see how it can be improved, and then we make the change.
That's a huge archive in Lebanon for the Irish. And this archive records is going to be inherited from generation to another generation. And for sure it will remain forever. The role of the Irish troops in UNIFIL in our country, Lebanon, it was very essential, and it makes our lives so easy.
I feel that for whatever it's worth, being termed a peacekeeper is very important.
Okay.
It's something. I did the other day in some of the readings in Aberhill Church, "Blessed are the peacekeepers." You know, and it comes back to you then. I was one of those. You know, and from that point of view, although we're out there peacekeeping with arms, you know, and bombs and shells and bullets, peacekeeping is not the right way to be a peacekeeper, but at the same time it's the only way at certain times, you know. But to know or to feel that you've contributed somewhat to that, you know, is important.